Well, good evening and welcome everyone. Before we begin the proceedings of our board meeting, I would like to highlight our safety protocols and expectations. Due to CDC guidance placing Kent County in the substantial risk category for transmission of the COVID-19 Delta variant, we are requiring masks indoors for anyone on the grounds of GRPS property, for all students, staff, and visitors, regardless of vaccination status. If you need a mask, these are available at the entrances. Public comment cards and meeting agendas are located at the tables within the board chambers at both entrances. Once you fill out a comment card, please submit this in the drop box next to the comment cards. Our board assistant will collect those cards when I call for public comment and deliver them to our board secretary, Ms. Lewis. When it is time for public comment, I will call on each individual one at a time to address the board at the presentation table. On behalf of our superintendent, Dr. Ledrian Roby, our deputy superintendent, Dr. Gorman, this evening, and the Board of Education, thank you for being here in attendance with us. And with that, I will call this meeting of the Grand Rapids Public Schools Board of Education to order. Today is Monday, October 4. Will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Lewis, will you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Davis?
Here.
Dr. Flores?
Present.
Ms. Grant? Here. Ms. Lewis is here. Reverend Matias?
Here.
Mr. Ross is excused. Mrs. Williams?
Present.
Dr. Baker?
Here.
President Chotke?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much. May I please have a motion for approval of the agenda this evening?
So moved. Support.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. And we have a celebration this evening, so Dr. Gorman.
Madam President, members of the board, we have one celebration this evening. This time I would like to ask Dr. Carl Nelson, Ms. Megan Persons to please come forward.
Good evening, President Chotke, Dr. Gorman, and distinguished members of the Board of Education. Each year, the West Michigan Women's Magazine identifies and honors West Michigan women in celebration they refer to as the Brilliance Awards. The West Michigan Women Magazine goal of the Brilliance Awards is to shine a light on the dynamic talent, spirit, and intellect of local women and men who are making a meaningful impact on our community. The areas celebrated are Women of the Year, Mentorship, Connector, Social Change Agent, Team Player, Champion of Service, Tenacity, Entrepreneur, and Emerging Leader. Tonight, it is my pleasure to recognize our very own Ms. Megan Persons as the recipient of the Emerging Leaders Award. From the West Michigan Women's Magazine Brilliance Awards, an emerging leader embodies a collaborative mindset. They apply learning, embrace accountability, continuously reinvent, are digitally confident, anticipate and build for the future, and are global citizens. The Emerging Leader Award honors a woman under the age of 35 who encapsulates what it means to be a leader of the next generation of professionals. Megan has been with us in GRPS since 2013, starting as an intervention specialist at Westwood Middle School for a year, 4 years at Innovation Central as an English teacher, then working the last 4 years at Westwood Middle School as school improvement facilitator. She also was an adjunct instructor for Davenport University and the College of Urban Education. Megan has accepted and will transition in just a short time to the Enrollment Equity Coordinator in our Office of Equity and Inclusion. We, the Grand Rapids Public Schools, have an outstanding emerging leader. Please join me in celebrating Ms. Megan Persons for her recognition. She wants the mic.
Great.
I mean, I don't, but I don't want the mic, but Dr. Nelson told me I should take it. So a special thanks to my wife and my mom and sister who are here with me today, as well as my principal, Mr. Branson. I've known him for as long as I have been with GRPS when I student taught, and I've known Dr. Gorman since I was about 13. So GRPS has been my home since the first grade. I'm a proud GRPS graduate, and I continue to make this my home by choice. I love what we're doing here. I love serving our students. I'm passionate about our work, and I thank all of you for your service just the same.
Absolutely.
We are fortunate to have you. Congratulations. Thank you so much for celebrating with us.
Yes,
We're just
thank
delighted
you.
to lift you up and have you here tonight. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, we will move on to our first reports from our student reps in a long time. It is so good to have you. Welcome back. Ms. Cruz Calderon, may I start with you?
So at our meeting, we talked about how the different destinations that we could have our graduation. We don't have anything fixed yet, but a lot of the council members did talk to the senior classes, and they did bring a lot of their input. And so we're hoping to have something set by the end of October. Yes, and we also talked about the participatory budget and how students could participate in that.
Excellent, great, wonderful. All right, Mr. Chisholm, any report for you?
Yes, I guess as Jackie was saying, we had our first district student council meeting last Wednesday, which I think went very well. As she was saying, we made some pretty good progress in discussing, I guess, the implications of graduation venues. We got a lot of good responses from the survey in which was created to get responses. I think the other thing of note, which was discussed during that meeting, was participation in the city grant for neighborhood improvement, and then also, future orders of business in our future meetings. And so I think a lot of very important issues throughout all of GRPS were brought up in that meeting. I thought it was very valuable. At City, our homecoming week started this week, so a lot of fun school spirit activities that were pretty important. That was all kind of planned by the senior student government this year, instilling students with a sense of school spirit following, obviously, this pretty tumultuous last 2 years. So, yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Any questions for our student reps? Yeah, Dr. Baker.
Just a quick question, Dr. Gorman, do you still lead that student panel and group?
So it's now the Superintendent's Advisory Council. Mr. Lewis is essentially the chair of that group. He leads that work.
Mr. Lewis, well,
Mr. Lewis, absolutely.
I want to thank Mr. Lewis for that because it's pretty amazing to do, to get that kind of input and also to prepare these future leaders.
Yeah, how many students are on the advisory council? Best guess.
I believe it's 19,
Great, yeah,
20,
yeah.
something around
Give
there.
or take a few. Yeah, perfect. Wonderful. Any other questions for our student reps? All right, great. Thank you for your reports. All right, we'll move forward to public comment for board agenda items. Ms. Lewis, do we have anything for our agenda items? Okay. Yep, Ms. Anderson's going to check. Just one moment.
Nothing on.
Okay, great. Okay, next we have our reports. Ms. Lewis, Secretary's report, please.
Yes. Committee meetings, the Legislative Committee will be meeting on Friday, October 8th at 3 p.m. here in the Grand Rapids Public Schools Auditorium. The City Board Liaison Committee will be meeting Wednesday, October 13th at 1 p.m. at the Grand Rapids Public Schools University Cafetorium.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lewis. I do not believe we have a Finance Committee meeting report. That meeting was canceled, right? Correct. Okay, perfect. So we'll invite Mr. Oberst up later for those action items. We will move on to our superintendent's report. Dr. Gorman.
Madam President, members of the board, I'd like to ask Mr. John Helmholt to come forward. He will have 3 items this evening that he'll be sharing, one of which is strategic plan community input sessions. Next, fall count day importance. And lastly, School Choice Expo. Mr.
Great.
Helmholtz.
Thanks, Dr. Gorman. President Shockey, members of the board. Just a reminder, our strategic plan input sessions are continuing. We had our first last week. We have another one this Wednesday, October 6th. The staff session is from 4:30 to 6. The public session that is open to students, parents, staff, community, general public is from 6:30 to 8. That is at GRPS University, so this is our northeast side quadrant. We did the southeast side last week. Upcoming will be October 12th at Southwest Middle High School, October 14th, which is a virtual, and then October 21st at Union High School. Same times apply for both the staff and the community input. We are also organizing with other community-based organizations to schedule additional input. I know we already have another 6 tentatively on the books that we're going to lock in this week. So we're grateful to the Boys and Girls Club and the Granville Avenue Arts and Humanities, Southwest Area Neighbors, and many others. So stay tuned for more. Fall Count Day, a busy week. We have Count Day also on Wednesday, October 6th. As you know, attendance counts each and every day, but it counts for 90% of our funding based on the attendance on Count Day, Wednesday, October 6th. We are now receiving $8,700 per pupil, thanks to the largest per pupil increase we received just this last year. And we do, while there is one count day, we do have 10 days to count unexcused, and we have 30 days to count excused. And then there's an additional audit period after that as well. So we got the campaign to count day, we got the flyers out, robocalls, text messages, and we'll continue to use this to promote awareness about how schools are funded in Michigan and also the importance of attendance. Lastly, the School Choice Expo is locked in for Thursday, November 4th from 4:30 to 6:30 at Ottawa Hills High School Gymnasium. This is for all neighborhood and theme schools. So this is, you're beginning to see the shift away from kind of that two-tiered approach. In addition, to the theme school application, we're also creating the first of its kind intent to enroll in neighborhood schools. This is going to bring us closer to eventually unified enrollment, which is what we're in the process of doing some research and development on. This event, all the schools will be there. They'll have staff, there's free dinner, kids games, activities, music, lots of fun. And of course, the theme school application, the November 1st is when the theme application and the intent to enroll go public. And there will be a dedicated landing page for that. We have hired the same door-to-door firm that assisted in August. They will be knocking doors starting next week for 4 weeks, targeting various households and businesses, child care centers, and with the door knocker that has a QR code to access both the intent to enroll as well as the theme school application and any information about our schools that they need. The application deadline for theme schools for round 1 is Friday, December 3rd. And then, of course, there'll be a round 2 and another expo, but we'll be back here later to tell you more about that.
When
That's
does
all I
the,
have.
is it open? Is the application open now?
The application does not open till November 1st
Oh, until November 1st,
for
excuse
both
me.
of them.
Okay, very good. And then one more time on the expo date, I'm sorry.
Expo date is Thursday, November 4th from
Thank you.
4:30 to 6:30 at Ottawa Hills Gymnasium. Chance to kind of check out the new gym. I know it's not so new anymore, but we wanted to really showcase our neighborhood school.
Wonderful.
I have a question about the input sessions. As we go through the schedule for the sessions, if we're seeing that there's maybe one part of town, one ward that may not be as heavily attended or represented, how will we kind of take care of that or plan for that?
Sure.
I know it may not be just your answer, but I want to put that out there for all of us. I heard some feedback about the attendance of the first session, and I just want to know before we get to the end if we're thinking about that.
Absolutely. So we are actually in the process of planning another Southeast Side input session. Ottawa Hills asked specifically if we could do another one so they can really push their staff and students and families. We're also working with our community partners to do deeper dives in with the different community-based organizations in all 4 corners of the city. So if you have suggestions, ideas, just email them. We'll follow up. We'll get it scheduled. We want to drill deep into this. I know I shared last week the community engagement plan, so you all have seen exactly what we're doing to really drive turnout at all of these events, and we're going to continue to push that. The goal, obviously, is to get as much done before your November board meeting. However, if need be, we can always look at adjusting the schedule if that's the desire of the board and Superintendent Roby.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Humboldt. Okay, we have 2 action items this evening. The first is our purchasing agenda. Mr. Oberst, may I welcome you down since we weren't able to hold the Finance Committee meeting, excuse me. Good evening.
Good evening, President Ms. Schottky, Dr. Gorman, board members. Yes, the Finance Committee meeting was postponed or canceled actually last week. So the purchasing agenda, which generally goes there first, is coming to you directly tonight, included in your packet. In the general fund, the first section of that, everyone has it up on their screen or at least in their little notebook, if you will. You can see some increases in blankets. The big thing, if you look at number 5 there in the general fund, you'll see the translation services for just over $1 million. We went through a proposal process starting back a few months ago. We actually received 11 responses to that RFP from local providers as well as some in California, some in Pennsylvania, so quite a few. Through our purchasing department, put together a rubric in terms of evaluation. I was part of the evaluation team along with Ida and a couple of others. And through that process, we identified and decided to, as you can see there, to select several of the local provider of these types of services. And the RFP included, or actually asked for information on written translation services, transcription services, and spoken language interpretation transition. So Hispanic Center Western Michigan, Le Fuentes Consulting, Liaison Linguistics, and Voices for Health are all local providers. Many, probably all of those, I think, actually we've worked with before, and their proposals showed that they could do the work. We're familiar with their work. The pricing was pretty competitive amongst all 11 of those, is my recollection. So that's the big one in that first section of the general fund. Support materials, you can see a few items there. Snow plowing, it's been a little challenging with the shortage in labor. When we got the proposal, only 2 respondents to our RFP on plowing services. And we break our RFP into different sectors, which include buildings in geographical closeness to each other. And there were actually 4 of the sectors that we did not get any bids on. So we did a little more background work, and we've actually put out an additional RFP identifying just those. Actually, what we ended up doing is putting out an RFP for individual buildings. We also do some of our own snow plowing with our internal people. We don't have enough people either to fill in the gaps, so we may have to actually get the board to pull out their snow blowers and show up at various buildings once we get more than 2 inches of snow sometime this winter, which I would guess is probably going to happen. So, and then on the other section there, in instructional supplies, equipment, and services. Item 1 there, you can see some ESSER funding that we are using for NWA, EA. A couple things related to technology. And then under item B, support materials, our contracts, our annual contracts, which really go from October 1st through September for our student health services staffed by Cherry Health Street Services. Nothing this month related to the bond project. So that's kind of a summary of what's on that purchasing agenda. Be happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Any questions for Mr. Oberst?
Just on your, under other, number 2, upgrade of data center, visualized server systems. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? And I noticed that it's 100% E-rate reimbursement.
Yeah, again, we with all the technology needs and even with the upgrade in our business software services, which I will note, we did go live on Thursday of this, last Thursday, so after, we're constantly needing to upgrade to the newer technology to handle the amount of volume we have running through our servers. E-rate is the federal funding that provides most of the funding. It's a very complicated program. Craig Garib and his folks have done a very good job in keeping track of that, and it's provided a lot of funding, not just our district, but other districts throughout the years. And where we can use that funding, we use that first, and then Board of Ed or bond or whatever other sources of funding after E-rate is used.
Small, brief question. Some of you realize that I've pushed the issue on number 5 with respect to opening up a bidding process over the years. This is my participation on the Finance Committee and on this board, and pushing Grand Rapids first priority consideration for groups because I believe that we need to stimulate local competition, and there are certain areas that sometimes they don't look as if they're being as objectively dealt with in a bidding process. And so I'm certainly compliment you on that, but I have a wondering with respect to the 1 million, how is that going to be distributed? Is that you have 3 providers, and same thing with the snowplow, number 1, I guess, on the other.
Yeah, again, it's a 3-year contract. I don't know that I have the answer to that. I don't know if Maida is here today.
Yeah,
Correct.
just
Yeah,
curious as to
I don't know,
how
Mike,
that
if you have
could
any
be
idea how we're
split
going
with
to break up
everybody, or
that spend.
how are we doing that?
There's 4 providers,
Yeah.
and so it's just based on needs and what each provider can, some have a specialty of certain languages, and so we go by who is requesting that language and where that best fits.
So it would be on an as-needed basis then? You're really, so you have just an amount, and then as services
So
are
they
requested,
bill.
they get billed? There's no real
There's a contract.
allocation or?
There's a contract that we're working on with each vendor. Does that answer your question?
Not really.
Well,
Just
and-
curious as the amounts.
Yeah,
that are
Dr. Flores,
designated for contract.
generally, the way they were quoted, the contract, again, I haven't seen the contract working on, is either, depending on the service, on an hourly basis or a per-word basis in terms of
Yes.
translation. So as we engage one of the 4 providers to do translation of this me as an example, whoever we engage, however much time they spend,
Sure.
either hourly or hours, how they get paid.
So what we try to do is, according to their specialty, because each one of them have specialties, some provide more in one language versus the other, we don't want to use one company. We want to be even about it. So as the requests come in, we have a list, and then we want to be fair about it so that just MITA doesn't get the business or translation company B doesn't get everything.
Yeah, and that's what drives my questioning. We want a fair process, and, the bidding process should be that. So should services to this district in whatever area they're provided, and that is objective. So that's the reason for my questioning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have actually
Yes.
a quick question, and this is a question for Larry, I think. I'm just now realizing as we're discussing this that I am actually a board member of the Hispanic Center of Western Michigan, and I'm sure that that's reported in my conflict of interest, but I would just wonder if in this situation I should not vote on that.
Not the legal person in the room here, Dr. Baker. I don't think there's any problem with you recusing yourself if you decide
I'll
to.
recuse myself on that.
Yeah.
Sure, very good. All right, thank you. Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the purchasing agenda.
So moved.
Support?
Ms. Lewis, please call the roll.
Yes, Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
Yes.
Ms. Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, yes. Reverend Matias?
Yes.
Mr. Ross is absent, excused. Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
I'll recuse myself on this one.
Excuse yourself. Okay. President Shockey?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you very much. We will move on to the contract ratification resolution for the Grand Rapids Educational Support Personnel Association. Mr. Oberst.
Yes, and as you're well aware, we've been in bargaining season now for a number of months, and we are making progress, the most recent being the GRPS contract, and this represents our facilities, grounds folks, and our food service folks. And a little summary included in your packet. Was ratified on September 18th. We're asking for your approval tonight on the resolution to approve the contract. Some of the major details, this was only a financial reopener, so it was simply compensation and health insurance. The compensation amounts, and again, they range from increases in hourly staff hourly rates, depending on level, 2.1 to 18.3%. Now, again, this was one of the groups where we had lower wage levels below $12 an hour. And obviously, in this environment, we can't compete on that. So this group, everyone's minimally making $14 an hour after this contract is ratified by this board. And that's why you'll see an 18% increase when you're getting $2 or $2.25 increase on an $11 base. Percentage-wise, it's significant. But what we need to do to be competitive, as you're well aware, and hang on to the people that we have. There is also a step increase we're granting this year to all employees. The insurance hard caps, they will be increased on January 1st to the 2022 rates. I will remind the board that the insurance hard caps are set by the Treasury every year. They take effect January 1st. The percentage increase on those hard caps this year is 3.8, or in 2022 will be 3.8%. The MESA health insurance premium increase, which covers the GRPS group, average increase for next year is only 1.8%. So they will see a little more in their paycheck by virtue of that hard cap increasing at a higher percentage rate than their premiums from MESA, which is a good thing. So, and then we also added 5 Act of God school closure days that will be paid to this group. Previously, if we had a snow day and they wanted to take the day off and get paid for it, they had to take some earned leave time. This would then pay them without them having to take any earned leave time. So those are the highlights of the changes in the contract. I would ask that this board would approve the resolution to ratify the contract.
All right, thank you, Mr. Oberst. Any questions? If not, may I have a motion for approval, please?
Support?
Ms. Lewis, please call the roll.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
Yes.
Ms. Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, yes. Reverend Matias?
Yes.
Mr. Ross is excused. Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
President Shockey?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next, thank you, Mr. Oberst. Next is our consent agenda grouping. Any questions or discussion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda grouping?
Support.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis, please call the roll.
Ms. Davis?
Yes.
Dr. Flores?
Yes.
Ms. Grant?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, yes. Reverend Matias?
Yes.
Mr. Ross is excused. Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Yes.
President Shockey?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Only one discussion item for me this evening, which is just my encouragement to my colleagues to attend at least one of the strategic input sessions. It's very beneficial for us to be listening to the community as well as those are being held and participate as parents and engaged community members as well. So my only ask is that you just let Julie know which sessions you're planning to attend so she can track board attendance. Okay, we will move on to public comment for non-agenda items. Looks like we have 2 to begin, and it's my pleasure to welcome forward Maggie Zick. Welcome forward, Ms. Zick. And Ms. Lewis is going to read the protocol for public comment. So just a moment. Thank you.
If there is anyone present that is interested in giving public comment, there are 2 public comment sections on our agenda. The first one is public comment for the board agenda items, and the second opportunity is for commenting on non-agenda items. Please read through our policy listed on the reverse side of the card for the protocol. Please submit your card in the public comment bin, and our board assistant will collect them and bring them to my desk. Individuals be called to the speaker table one at a time to address the board during subsequent public comment time. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. You will need to state your full name before providing your comment. I will then start the timer at the beginning of your public comment and provide you with a 1-minute notice that only 1 minute remains. You will need to complete your comment time upon being notified the 3 minutes have passed. Board members do not respond to public comment. Concerns will be brought to the attention of the appropriate staff. We value your input and thank you for sharing with us.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Maggie Zick. I came here straight from work, where I've been for the last 9 hours. And not once did I have to think about where or if I would have access to water. And apparently there's been some confusion on how some of our schools are gaining access to clean drinking water. Is there going to be drinking fountains reinstalled? Why do some of the schools still have the fountains and some don't? Are we going to give the kids refillable bottles to use throughout the day to keep at school or bring home and bring back? Are cases of disposable water going to be given to every school? There's no clear or direct answer to any of these questions. The kids are confused, the teachers are confused, I'm confused. And the politician-style answers to the questions to kind of like brush them under the rug are getting really old. My kids, I have 2 children. They both attend Southwest Community Campus. They bring refillable water bottles every day, and it works out great until somebody forgets it. I forget my own water bottle when I go to work. It's going to happen. And on those days when they forget their water bottle, they don't have access to water all day long. And seeing how every single one of you has your own disposable bottle of water, you all can appreciate the fact that it's important to have. It's a big problem for me. Not only is the access a problem, but last week, specifically at our school, there was a day where the water was not safe or drinkable because it was coming out of the faucets, yellow, brown, and smelling disgusting. I don't think I need to explain how unacceptable that is. As soon as the district realized that this problem was happening, they should have brought cases of water to the school. I mean, it's the simplest solution, and that didn't happen. A solution needs to be found. This is an ongoing problem. I took time away from my family tonight to come and talk to you guys about water, which is the most basic human need for all of us. And this is the first time I've actually been truly embarrassed to be part of this district, and we need to do better. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your comment this evening. Okay, next I'd like to welcome forward Amy Kaiser. Welcome, Ms. Kaiser.
Hi, and thank you for the opportunity to share with you. I forgot my glasses, but I'll do my best. My name is Amy Kaiser, and I'm a nurse and a mother of 4, and I come to you tonight motivated by nothing but a heart of deep concern for the health and safety of our children. For the past 10 months, I've spent countless hours reading and listening to expert testimony about the COVID vaccines, and I came tonight because I want to make sure that you're all aware of the censorship of information that's taking place in our country. Any scientist or doctor who does not fall into lockstep with the government's opinion about COVID is censored, and this should alarm all of us. This is reminiscent of Nazi Germany and communism, and it's happening in our country today so that freedom of speech and freedom of the press are being restricted. So we're told to follow the science, but how can we possibly do that when highly credentialed scientists and doctors are censored, silenced, and even threatened for trying to make the science known? There's a proverb which says, "The first to state his case seems right until another comes and cross-examines him." No doubt we've all heard the safe and effective statement that was quickly pushed out, so I would like to provide you with some cross-examination. I've prepared a handout giving another perspective about COVID vaccines, which, by the way, are totally different from all other childhood vaccines, as they use a gene therapy technology which has never before been used in children in vaccines and has absolutely no long-term safety data on their vital organs, which are still developing, like their heart and their brain and their reproductive organs. So I've included some of the most qualified doctors and scientists, including Dr. Robert Malone, one of the inventors of mRNA vaccinations, who has said that no one should get the COVID vaccines because they are actually making the virus mutate and become worse. And Dr. Mike Yeadon, PhD, former vice president of Kaiser, who has said that children are 50 times more likely to die from the vaccine than from the virus. And Dr. Ryan Cole, expert pathologist, who has described the evidence he's seeing that the vaccines are wreaking havoc on immune systems, causing permanent heart damage in healthy young males and negatively affecting fertility. Not to mention, VAERS data shows nearly 15,000 deaths from the vaccines reported in the US.
1 minute.
Dr. Cole did an interview describing his scientific findings about a month ago, and after receiving 1 million views, it was immediately taken down. He was doing nothing more than sharing the science that he observed in the clinical setting in the lab, and yet those who are telling us to follow the science are censoring vital scientific information, and this is unacceptable. So I'm sounding the alarm because I want us to be proactive in protecting our children. I'm asking you to please look at this information, scan the QR codes, become informed so that you'll have the knowledge you need to stand up and protect our children from dangerous mandates. Any healthcare professional knows that for any treatment we have to do a risk versus benefit analysis, and it's unethical to give something where the risks outweigh the benefits. And these vaccines are clearly much more risk than benefit for healthy young people and children. And why, and yes, the vaccine companies have already made tens of billions of dollars. Why would they want us to know the truth when the third shot is already being discussed here and the fourth in Israel?
3
so
minutes.
Please, yes, thank you. I'm going to hand these to each of you, and for the sake of our children, I need to come informed.
All right, thank you for your comment this evening.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we will move on to our superintendent's comments. Dr. Gorman.
No comment this evening, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gorman. We'll move on to board member comments. Dr. Flores, may I start with you?
No comment this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Grant?
No comment.
Ms. Lewis?
No comment.
All right. Ms. Davis?
No comment.
Dr. Baker?
No, I just appreciate our student representatives tonight and the work that you guys are doing. It'll be very helpful for us to know the perspectives. So that's all.
That's right. Welcome, welcome. All right, Reverend Matthias.
Yeah, I am glad that, we continue to evolve in our desire to GR first and really looking at how we have contracts and have those bids and even have our partner mega companies bring those along to really help them develop. So I really appreciate that. I also appreciate our parents coming up and again informing us in public discourse some of the things that are happening in our schools and certainly in our communities. So really appreciate that.
All right, thank you, Reverend Matthias. Ms. Williams.
I'd like to thank the parents who came out tonight to share information with us and thank all substitute teachers who come and work in our district. Thank you so much, and we ask for your continued support of our district.
Here, here. Yes, all right. I have no comment this evening, so the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.